So 3 community members will speak at a town hall, a firefighter, construction worker, and wizard. And they're going to speak one at a time, and that's the important part. The one at a time tells us what kind of game this is, that we're going to put 3 community members in order of 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to need to draw a game board with 3 spaces like that, 1, 2, and 3. Next, we're going to get told some rules, such as the wizard is in 2, or the firefighter is not in spot 3. So these kinds of rules we'll put right on our game board. The wizard will put into spot 2, and the firefighter forbidden from 3. Oh, we can make an inference, right? An inference is when we learn something new by piecing together the information that's been given to us. In the entire logic game section, it really comes down to can we make the inferences that we need to make. And we can see a new inference comes out of this scenario because the construction worker can't go first and can't go second, so now we can make the inference that the construction worker is third. But more interesting than these absolute rules are going to be the rules that put pieces in relationship to each other, such as the firefighter comes before construction. And we might be tempted to put the firefighter immediately before the construction worker, but that's not quite what this is saying. Because we could put the firefighter in spot 1 and the construction worker in spot 3, and that would be putting the firefighter before construction. So we need to represent this person A goes earlier than person B terminology. And we can do that with a single line placing the firefighter before the construction worker or to the left on our game board. But what if we're told the firefighter is before the construction worker and the wizard? Well, then the firefighter needs 2 single lines going off to the construction worker and then the second line going to the wizard, showing that both of these come after that firefighter. And if we were going to do this for a real game, we would put an F for the firefighter with a W and a C each getting a single line going to the right of that firefighter. Now we might get a rule like the wizard is before the firefighter but after construction. And that is taken to mean that the wizard goes before the firefighter, but the wizard goes after the construction worker. And the best way to do this is to take it piece by piece. So the wizard is before the firefighter, so we can take what we know and put a single line indicating the wizard before the firefighter. And then we're going to indicate that the wizard is after the construction worker. But now let's look at this rule that the wizard and construction worker are consecutive. That's not quite the same as telling us that one comes immediately before. We need to be able to express this rule showing that they can switch off. So to do this, we'll put them in a box and put an arrow on top of that box indicating that they can move back and forth within that box. And of course, if we weren't told that they were consecutive, but rather that the wizard goes immediately after the construction worker, it would be the same box, but we don't put the arrow on top because we're not going to indicate that they can change. Another common rule would be that the wizard and construction worker are separated by exactly 1 space. So we would put the wizard and the construction worker in a box and put a line on the bottom of that box indicating that there's a space separating them, and then we would put the EX1 to indicate that there is exactly 1 space that's going to separate the wizard from the construction worker. And this is pretty close to what the rule asks. We are able to show that they're separated, but we aren't telling who's first and who's going to be at the end of that separation, right? It could be the wizard in 1 and the construction worker in 3, but it could likewise be the other way around. So that's why we're going to add a line on top of our box to show that those 2 can switch.